Hello, everyone. I'm Donna Fiducia.
And I'm Don Neuen. And this is Cowboy Logic Radio.
Cowboys didn't dance, didn't wear designer shirts. When their hearts were filled with memories, their bodies filled with hurt. They would sit around the campfire and exchange a piercing glare. Yes, back when the West was really wild, cowboys didn't dance.
Lean back down while your party is reached.
Whoa,
Honey, where are you?
I'm coming. I'm coming up the driveway right now.
The show is starting.
What?
The show is starting now.
Oh, my bad. I stopped by Milano's Pizza and got their family special #1. Baby, I got an 18-inch Milano's Pizza with 5 toppings on it. I got Italian sausage. I got pepperoni. I'm coming in the driveway right now. I got
And the dogs are waiting for it because they hear you now and they're barking.
Well, hey, check this out, Donna. Check this out. Hold on. Let me get out of the car. All right. I got the family special one. Hold on.
I can't wait. We got to do the show first, though.
I know. I'm coming. It hasn't started yet, has it?
Yeah, it has. It's time to go on the air.
Do you have any idea how hard it is to carry an 18-inch pizza with 5 toppings on it, a 2-liter Coke, breads to cheese sticks, and a dozen hot wings?
Ooh.
Hang on. But check this out. Check this out, baby. All right, I'm home.
The dogs are ready for the hot wings, too.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me put this up here. All right. Now, I'm bringing the pizza. It's an 18-inch pizza, 5 toppings, Donna. I've got Italian sausage,
I'm hearing a
and
reverb.
Triple cheese. Triple cheese.
Ooh, triple cheese.
All right, I'm coming.
Jeez.
All right, so I'm here.
18-inch pizza from Milano's Pizza in LaGrange, Georgia.
The dogs
are barking.
The dogs are going nuts.
Because you woke them up, essentially. They were sleeping because you came home late.
Look at the size of this thing.
The box is humongous. It barely fits in the back seat. I should tell everybody you eat the entire thing. You can eat the entire thing.
I can, but I
yourself.
don't. I get the 18.
I get like 2 pieces.
I get the 18-inch pizza with usually...
Out of breath.
I'm out of breath. You should have seen me driving down the dirt road. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cowboy Logic. Let me be the first to welcome you. My name is Don Neuen, and I'm here with an 18-inch pizza from Milano's Pizza out of LaGrange, Georgia, ladies and gentlemen. Those of you listening to us on WLBB 1330 AM and 106.3 FM. Out of Carrollton, Georgia, need to take the drive down Highway 27.
Yes.
South toward LaGrange, except you don't get far enough down where you hit the 90-degree hairpin turn going
If you
into...
miss that, you go into the woods.
Yeah. But you want to turn left at the traffic light right before you get to that hairpin and make a left. And
right
Milano's
down
is
there.
right down there on the left.
Yeah,
and I'm
nice.
telling you, I raced home. Smell this. Donna, smell
It's
it.
just... Well, I love... It really is good. It really is good. And being a Jersey Italian, I'm pretty picky.
You are.
There are very few places in Georgia that rate. This place rates.
And our friend, Dr. Tina Patillo, that has moved down here, last weekend approved her stamp of approval on Milano's Pizza.
Another Jersey Italian giving Milano's Pizza the stamp of approval.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the big show. My apologies for being a little late, but you know what? For a Milano's Pizza... We'd have done the show tomorrow night, by gosh.
Yes, this is true.
All right, so we want to thank Adam and everybody down there. Donna, you and I were there this weekend with Tina.
Yeah, we went Saturday
And you
night.
got some chicken with Cajun chicken.
Cajun chicken over Alfredo sauce.
See, that's not my bag, baby.
Yeah, that was pretty good, too.
All right, and what did Tina
it's
get?
not really Italian.
What did Tina
She got
get?
the chicken over Alfredo, but not the Cajun chicken.
Yeah, and you know what? She was eyeing my pizza the entire time we were eating.
Because she wanted one more piece.
And I gave it to her.
Want to order whole pie.
Right. She didn't want a whole pie, but She
So
was
you get a whole
eyeballing
pie.
my pizza, and I did not appreciate that Tina Patilla.
But if you weren't the big Italian pizza pie eater that you were, an 18-inch pizza for most normal people, you'd take home and you'd be eating it for the next 2 days.
Well, I ate it for the next day.
Yeah, but no, most people would eat it.
That's
2 or
why I
3
get the
days.
18-inch.
Yes.
But I'm going to share this with you tonight. Italian sausage, pepperoni, and 3 times the mozzarella cheese.
So you can blow bubbles with it.
The box was heavy. All right, let's get down to business, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Cowboy Logic Radio. Boy, have we got a big show for you tonight. This show is going to be the never-ending show. We're never coming off the air tonight. We're just continuing.
Look, we've got an 18-inch pizza we can work on for the rest of the night.
That's right. We're going to be sucking down the Milano's pizza
Bring us
pie.
right up to 2 a.m. and Matt Bruce. That'll be fine.
You know what I think right now is going on? I think Rocky Stucci and Gene Baradelli are probably foaming at the mouth. They're salivating so bad. You paisanos, don't you wish you had a Milano's pizza? Don't you wish?
Rocky calls himself the emotional meatball. He was hilarious last week.
He's always hilarious.
But
he also would probably give something of his anatomy to be eating this Milano's pizza right now. Don't you think,
true.
Donna?
I really think so.
And Baradelli, too. You
But
paisanos
Baradelli's in New
can
York.
suck it because you ain't eating this pizza.
But Baradelli's still in New York, so he's got a lot more to choose from. The emotional meatball, he doesn't have that much to choose from up there.
Yeah,
in the Great
because
White Way.
the Muzzies don't make pizzas up there very good, from what I understand.
Where is he?
They all taste
Minnesota?
like curry.
I always forget where he is. Minnesota? Where is he?
Yeah, he's in like Minneapolis area.
Oh, gosh. Hey, how do you get a pizza up there?
You don't. That's the
Gosh,
problem.
it's got to be horrible. I thought Georgia was bad.
All right, so we probably ought to get down to business here. We'd like to thank all of our listeners at WDDQ 92.1 FM down in South Georgia, WJHC 107.5 out of North Florida. Scott James, you're the bomb, and we appreciate you. Jack Ring, you're the other bomb, and we appreciate you too. And then we've got Steve Graddick that's running the helm up here in West Georgia with WLBB 1330 AM and 106.3 FM. Steve Graddick, thank you. We love you. We mean it. Donna loves you more than I do, but I love you too, man.
It's just a woman thing.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah. And then Ron Phillips, our dear brother with Talk America Radio. Ron Phillips, without you, man, we could be doing none of this because you are the source. You are the catalyst for the overnight programming package that is available to terrestrial stations worldwide. And ladies and gentlemen, those of you that are listening, if you would like to have Cowboy Logic Radio and all of the other great shows that come to you after 9 p.m. at night until 6 a.m. in the morning, please contact your local radio stations and say, you know what? What you've got going on from 9 o'clock overnight sucks. And it sucks because it's nothing but a repeat of everything you've been giving us all day. We want fresh. We want alternative media. We want the Talk America Radio overnight programming package.
At talkamericaradio.us.
That's right. And, man, I tell you what, I'm getting choked up because I'm smelling this pizza. I just really want to eat
you're out of
this
breath.
pizza. How much time do we have? Can we eat some of this on the break?
Yeah, we probably could.
All right, that'll give us... I'll probably eat 3 slices. You go on and eat those 3 slices.
I have one thing to say,
it.
To Scott James and Jack Ring down there in Valdosta, Georgia.
What's that?
Don't forget to leave and drive it like you stole it.
That's right. Don't forget to leave and drive it like you stole it. And that's what I did tonight when I left Milano's Pizza. I drove out of there like I stole that pizza. Because do you have any idea, Donna, how difficult it is to drive, what is it, about 25 miles?
The way that smells? Yeah, your car's going to stink tomorrow. Well, I shouldn't say stink. You're going to die tomorrow when you get in the car in the morning because you're going to want to eat a piece of pizza at 9
Yeah, but
a.m.
I'm going to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. That is difficult to do.
Yes, it is.
To not reach in that box and grab a piping hot piece of Milano's pizza.
All right, let's get to the headlines now while you sit there and dream about the pizza.
I'm looking at the
Well,
box.
you've got another 15 minutes before you can have one. Okay. Donald Trump gives a speech yesterday. And you know what that country is that starts with a P?
You mean Pakistan?
No, it's Pakistan.
And
darn
that's
it.
because for the first time in 8 years, ladies and gentlemen, we have had a commander-in-chief that pronounces the country of Pakistan like the rest of us.
Like an American, damn it. It's America speak English.
Pakistan?
No, it's not Pakistan like they say at CNN too. It's Pakistan.
Well, that's what's her name. Who's the woman that's been at
Christian
CNN?
Amanpour.
Yeah,
I don't think she's there anymore. At least they finally ousted her.
We are now traveling to Pakistan.
She showed her butt during the one debate, even worse than Megyn Kelly did.
And what was the heavy woman? Candy Crowley. Is she still there?
Oh, actually, Candy's the one I'm thinking of. You know, I don't know. I don't watch anymore.
I wonder if she says Pakistan.
Let's talk about the monuments in just a minute, but let me just talk about Trump's speech. On both fronts, he said, we have never had a level playing field. He's talking about Pakistan and India.
You mean
talking like I'm in New York. Pakistan.
India?
No, India, darn it.
I love the country of India and Pakistan.
Quote unquote from Donald Trump last night. Micromanaging from Washington, D.C. does not win battles. I'm liking that. I'm liking that big time.
I also like the fact that he said we're not going into nation build. Yeah!
Yeah, but
no more nation building.
Honest with you.
We
now,
have never been successful at doing that, ever, in the history of mankind.
He also said he's lifting Obama administration restrictions on our military. Let the American military get unleashed. With the exception of whoever does navigation on some of our warships, because I want to know what's going on here.
Man,
We've
I'll tell
got
you
tens.
what.
This is tragic, though. I don't mean to laugh
It's
about
very
that.
tragic, and something is seriously wrong going on.
I would not be surprised if it's the dumbing. See, we have a military, including the Navy, that worries more about being socially correct and politically correct and worrying about how they treat women who should not be on a Navy ship to begin with, in my opinion. I'm sorry. It's just not supposed to be that way. And I just feel that they're more worried about being politically correct and you know,
looking out the window to see a 600-foot ship that's in front of them that weighs
broad daylight.
That weighs
time.
like 50,000 tons.
Well, it was last time. At least it was in the dark. This time was during the day. This is broad daylight.
How does it happen?
I don't know.
And they like T-boned.
All I can say is it's the SS John McCain.
Well, yeah, but let's not make light of this.
No,
this
I'm
is
not
a
making light of it.
serious tragedy. We've got American soldiers that are missing.
10 at least missing, and this is horrible. But I want to know how we're going to win wars.
I want to
now.
know how the hell it happened.
But the problem
That's
is,
all I care about.
The last
and finding these bodies.
I'm not a military expert. I know our friend Bill Cowan and certainly many of the military friends we have think it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. But our military, being the social experiment that it's been the last 8 years, has been dumbed down so much to be politically correct. They don't even have urinals in a lot of these ships they're building now. I mean, that's how stupid it is.
What do they have, bidets?
The men got to sit
Do you know what a
there
bidet
like
is?
Yeah, I know what a bidet is.
I didn't.
It's
when
a
I lived
fanny
in Miami
washer.
in the 80s, I didn't know. I thought it was a
What'd
dadgum
you do?
water fountain.
Lean over it and
Well, I didn't
get a
drink
shot
it.
in the
No,
face?
I didn't drink out of it, but I stood there in the bathroom while I was being shown this condo, and I'm like, what is this? I didn't want to ask. You know why I didn't want to ask? Because I had no idea what it was.
You find out later on.
I'm thinking, man, that's a water fountain for short
and you
people.
couldn't just Google it back then. You had to actually
No,
learn
I didn't even
something.
have a cell phone back then.
So Trump went on to say our troops will fight to win. So I guess the JV team wasn't so JV after all. That's my words, not his.
I wonder
So
what
therefore
Trump's
we
going to
gotta
do.
go.
I wonder what Mattis has if it is. I'm thinking they're going to probably hit that with some mother of all bombs.
My question is, Afghanistan to me though is nothing but a just like a hellhole.
Do you think they'll
So
change the landscape?
How can you tell?
I don't know.
I mean, really,
You
how
hit it with a
can
big
tell?
enough bomb, it might change.
Well, our guys at least will not be fighting with one arm, both arms really tied.
Rules of
behind their back.
engagement. Thank you, President Trump.
And he
Thank
called
you.
on our NATO allies to be partners with us, meaning they got to bring some money to the
Pony
table as
up
well.
the bucks.
Especially Pakistan
Hey, Donna,
and India as
Donna.
an economic partner.
can we go to break early
Why?
so I can eat some of this
No,
pizza?
you can't. Anyhow,
Can I?
the rules of engagement
Can you cover the rest of the segment?
are now made in the field. I'm ignoring him, folks.
Why is
Trump
she
went on
ignoring
to
me?
say the rules of engagement are now made in the field, not D.C., so the bad guys can't wait us out. And that's the big thing, because, they sit back and they wait, and they know we don't have the political will. Well, maybe this will change. We'll see. I, for one, quite frankly, don't agree with this. But
You don't agree with what?
I'm
Going
not
in and
there in the war
annihilating
room.
the terrorists in Afghanistan?
I don't see what
Hey, listen.
Afghanistan's going to do. And
If
I don't
if he
wanna
can
lose
be
any more
victorious,
boys.
because that's what he was talking about. We are there to be victorious.
Yep.
If they are, that's huge. No other president has been able to do it. Russia failed at it. Let's see what happens.
Because it can't be bombed back to oblivion. It is in oblivion right now.
Well, let's just wait and see.
So the protests.
Donna, hold on a second. Before you get into the protests, let's talk about the unbelievably magnificent and interesting eclipse that took place yesterday. What a downer that was.
Well, we were supposed to have 95% darkness. It didn't get dark where we were. Maybe it did farther in the North Georgia mountains, but I'm sitting there with my stupid little cereal box like an idiot, waiting for the thing.
And nothing. Hey, speaking of idiots.
I did look up at the sun. I'm like, is it
what
there or
about
not?
all these people that were in Oregon and all across this belt of, totality?
It lasted like 2 freaking minutes.
They spent all this money for that, and it looked like people were worshiping it.
I don't know, but
you got these people with tie-dye stuff on and dreadlocks and little, what are those little bracelets that are made out of?
so they could get in, the little hippie bracelets.
Yeah,
the little
and they're sitting there,
dream catchers.
they've got their hands up like they're praying to the sun and the moon.
Probably what you
Listen.
probably did a couple thousand years ago before. Oh, then you got that idiot Bill Nye the Science Guy, and he's up there on our local radio station. I was listening to it, and they played a clip of him. Look what we can do, ladies and gentlemen. We can tell to the minute when that solar eclipse is going to hit and be at its biggest potential. And I'm thinking, yeah, you jerk. You can figure that out, but you sure as heck can't tell what the weather's going to be 2 days from now.
Nope.
And you certainly don't know
About
that
global warming.
Global warming is happening because you can't even predict the weather.
Hey, I've got some interesting news that you don't know.
What?
And it's because I'm in the know.
Okay, what's that?
Denise Simon is going to have Janice Dean on this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, your buddy Janice
My old
Dean.
buddy from Fox News Channel. She worked with Don Imus.
She's
after
written
me
a
as
book.
well.
I guess a kid's book.
It's a little froggy book.
Yeah.
It's a kid's book.
And so she's going to be on Denise Simon's show 2
very
nights from
cool.
now, Thursday night.
I should get her phone number and touch base with her. She's a sweetheart.
You
she
will.
really is good people.
You
One
will.
of the
And
few
tell
good
her that
people
I
left
said
over
hi.
there.
You know who I am?
You're Dawn Neuen.
That's right.
She
and if
probably
you,
has seen you in the newsroom at one
she's
point.
probably heard of me.
I bet she has.
She
Not.
probably listens to Cowboy Logic Radio.
I don't think so.
Why not?
Because
we don't talk about weather. Janice, here's what I say to that. The weather happens, okay?
It doesn't take a
There's
weather
not-
woman to find out which way the wind blows.
Listen, here's the saying.
Dylan.
Here's the saying that I have for Janice Dean. And we respect, and you're a very good friend of hers. So I'm not making fun,
I've
but
worked with her
here's
for
the bottom
many
line,
years.
Janice. Weather happens.
Yep.
Okay?
Like other
and there's
things.
nothing that any meteorologist can do about it. Not even Glenn Burns
Not
at
even
WSB Channel
Bill
2.
Nye, the science guy. Not even Kurt Mellish. even though
Bill
it was
Nye,
a
the
10
communist science guy.
And Kurt Mellish here on WSB. Where was a 10 on the Mellish meter today? Which was good.
Except
we didn't have
for
any
the
cloud.
14 seconds that the
You know what it
eclipse
looked like?
happened.
It looked like it was about to rain.
Yeah.
That's all.
It got that amber
Yeah.
look, like, when you're about to get hit with a tornado. But they say birds freaked out and animals freaked out and
Our dogs didn't do a darn thing. 'Cause
cicadas
nothing
started
happened
making
here.
noise.
Nothing happened here. We're
Did you
west
make
of
sure none
Georgia.
of the horses looked at it? Because that could be
I
dangerous to
brought
their
all the
retinas.
dogs in, brought all the horses in.
Brought them all
Brought
like
all
it was
the
the
dogs.
end of time.
I didn't want the dogs looking up.
It's going to eclipse. We're all doomed. I got to have a piece of this pizza.
Hey,
This
I want to
is
say
bogus, Donna.
one
We got
thing,
3 minutes.
and I can't take credit for this, but I wish I could. On Michael Savage earlier, which I listened to on WDDQ every afternoon during the week, he had a caller call in and say, if we're all racist because we want to America first and we want to keep our history, including our monuments, including Confederate monuments, and now they're even attacking, you had to know this was going to happen, George Washington and Abraham Lincoln monuments. If we're going to go after our history, let's explore how many of those Confederate soldiers' descendants fought in World War I and World War II and Vietnam, the Spanish-American War, and every
Korean
other war
War.
since then, Korean War, and on and on and on. Now Afghanistan and Iraq.
Yes.
Okay? These people are so darn stupid. And the Antifa, Woodrow Wilson, bite my tongue. Winston Churchill actually said that the fascists of the right, become the fascists of the left. History repeats itself, and you guys don't study history, and you are repeating it, showing how stupid you are. Because you know what? Eyewitnesses are now saying they saw both the Antifa and this, whatever this jerky guy protest was doing.
Unite the Right.
Unite the Right. Get out of the same bus.
Oh,
When they came
that's
back.
saucy.
Okay. Jason Kessler. Now, that's just a rumor, so I don't know if this is true, but I really wish Jeff Sessions would look into this. But this guy, Jason Kessler, who supposedly started Unite the Right and organized it, was an Obama supporter until last November, just a few months ago, and was also an organizer of all the stuff going on Occupy Wall Street. In fact, there is a Jason Kessler, and it's unclear whether it's the same guy, that actually broadcast on CNN, for CNN as a guy out in the field during the Occupy Wall Street stuff 5 years ago. This is paid agitation, making it look, we do this for a living. Did you ever hear of Unite the Right?
No.
I never heard of it.
No.
And we live 15 miles from Alabama. I have yet to see anybody running around in a big white suit, and you should know, and a hood, and you should know, folks, if that is the case, that's a Democrat, because the Dixiecrats were the ones that started the KKK.
Although,
Robert Byrd, former
I know,
senator,
Robert Byrd, what a sick one.
KKK grand wizard, and Hillary Clinton, look for it on YouTube, folks, if it hasn't been scrubbed, getting up there and saying she idolizes him and reveres him and loves Robert Byrd. Yep, out of the mouth of Hillary Clinton. It's classic soundbite, and for some reason, of course, the way the mainstream media is, everything gets blamed on the right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to break here in a second, and I'm going to eat some of my Milano's pizza. This segment was literally brought to you by Milano's Pizza in LaGrange, Georgia. Adam, we love you. The staff down there, we love you. I'm telling you, you don't even have to think about needing a refill. They're on you like white on rice, and that is not a racist statement.
And they have a great wine list, too, if you're into that. I should add...
I'm not. I don't drink.
But I do. I have an...
Who do we have coming up, Donna? Tonight's a big show.
It's too bad we don't have smell-o-vision, that's for sure.
We got Kaleem Stevens.
Yes, we do.
And we've got Chris X.
Yes, we do. Chris X, radio host. Find him right here on TalkAmericaRadio.us. It's all coming up next on Cowboy Logic Radio.
Give me a slice of pizza.
Cowboys didn't dance, didn't wear designer shirts. When their hearts were filled with memories, their bodies filled with hurt. They would sit around the campfire and exchange a piercing glance. Back when the West was really wild, cowboys didn't dance. When cowboys didn't dance, didn't wear designer shirts. When their hearts were filled with memories, their bodies filled with hurt. They would sit around the campfire and exchange a piercing glance. Back when the West was really wild, cowboys didn't dance.
Check us out on the web at cowboylogic.us.
Hi, thank you for listening. My name is Ron Phillips, and I'm the owner and operations manager of Talk America Radio. It is with great pride that I offer you these two 24/7 streams of some of the finest talk radio programming in the country, but I need your support. Talk America Radio is a listener-supported network. That means we need your help to continue to offer the quality programming you're hearing right now. Please visit talkamericaradio.us and click the Support Us button. You can contribute monthly or send us a one-time amount. We'll put it to good use continuing to share the American voice. Thank you.
This is Denise Simon. 18 hours a day, I live in a world as an intelligence analyst. Intelligence analyst. Intelligence analyst. Intelligence analyst. Intelligence analyst. Intelligence. What I find is reprehensible. What I find is terrifying. What I find is treasonous. 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 The mainstream media has completely failed the American people. 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 Join me for the Denise Simon Experience every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
This is Don Neuen, co-host of the Drive Time Sit Rep. Join me as I call in to my intel analyst, Denise Simon, for my daily situation report, or Sit Rep, the Drive Time Sit Rep. Check talkamericaradio.us for more information and show times.
Hi, this is Michelle Malkin from CRTV.com, and you're listening to Talk America Radio.
Hey, Kaleem, thanks for helping me out here.
No problem on anything to help the cause, if you know what I mean.
All right, you got the script, right?
Yep.
All right, and you got that check I sent you for $200, all right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let me count you down. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Hi, this is KUULEME Stevens, veteran, model, political activist, and black conservative woman. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel compelled to tell you the hottest, most sexy talk radio host on the entire surface of the earth is Don Neuen, co-host of Cowboy Logic Radio. Don, wait, are you serious?
Yeah, come on, just read the script, Kaleem. Come on.
Okay. Not Rush Limbaugh, not Mark Levine, not Sean Hannity, not even Donna Fiducia.
Hey, what's up with all the laughter? Come on, just read the script.
Ooh, okay. Don Neuen, co-host of Cowboy Logic Radio, is seasoned, intellectually ahead of the curve, engaging, mind-stimulating, oh my goodness, and extremely entertaining. Don Neuen is the complete package.
All right, don't worry, Kaleem. See, I can edit some of this together so we can get rid of all the laughing.
Catch Don Neuen, co-host of Cowboy Logic Radio, my favorite and most sexy talk radio host right here on Talk America Radio. Check schedules for showtime at talkamericaradio.us.
Thanks, Kaleem. You actually sounded convincing. That was awesome.
Oh, my.
Digital Dallas. Talk America Radio.
Hey, everybody, they're back on again.
Cowboys didn't dance, didn't wear designer shirts. When their hearts were filled with memories, their bodies filled with hurt. They would sit around the campfire and exchange a piercing glance. Back when the West was really wild, cowboys didn't dance.
Welcome back to Cowboy.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Don Neuen. I want to come to you and let you know that, in my humble opinion, I would say that the first segment of this show, anything that had to do with me, probably brought you not only information, tears. What do you mean? These people love me.
You set yourself up for that one.
Yeah, no, well, I need to mute your mic is what I need to do. Ladies and gentlemen, for the last time for the next 3 minutes, my name is Don Neuen, and I would like to welcome you back to Cowboy Logic Radio. We've got a guest coming up this half hour that is somebody that's very special to Donna and I. She's a friend that we've had for a number of years. She's been on the show, and she is, I am proud to say, been out of Facebook jail now for a whopping 40-something days. Kaleem Stevens, how long have you been a free woman?
I think about 43 days and 12 hours and 22 minutes.
43 days and counting. This is unbelievable. This has got to be epic and some type of a record for you.
That's because Kaleem is an outspoken, conservative, black woman, and Facebook doesn't like that. Shame.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. The most important thing about Kaleem, outside of the fact that she is a mother, is, and read it down the list, Donna. You got a list of it there.
Okay, here goes. Member at large at Pima County Republican Party, that's Arizona, folks, home of John McCain. Maiden at Tucson Maidens of Metal, LD 10 Precinct Committee woman at Arizona Republican Party, co-founder, writer, speaker at The Last Civil Right, hospital corpsman at United States Navy, or as you call it, Colleen, what did you call it?
We're also known as a pecker checker for the Marine Corps.
Colleen Stevens is a pecker
There goes
checker.
our FCC status.
Former chapter service officer at the DAV, Disabled American Veterans. Former KLPX girl. That's 96.1 FM KLPX. She's an actress, a stunt woman at Lights Out Cinema Fight Choreography. She's a former hospital corpsman at Marine Corps Recruiting, which is, I guess, your second pecker checker job you had. And also at Impact Wrestling. She's a pro wrestler, folks. She is a badass. She's
all right, but here's the thing. We got to put this into perspective so that the listeners can get a visual on this. Kaleem, I'm going to ask you at least one question that guys should never ask ladies. But the first question I can get away with. The second one, everybody's going to roll their eyes, but I know for me you'll answer this. Kaleem Stevens, how tall are you?
5'2".
5'2", ladies and gentlemen. Now, here's the next one. Kaleem, how much do you weigh soaking wet?
Soaking wet, 100 pounds.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. This woman is a stunt woman. She's a veteran. She's a professional wrestler. She's a model. And most importantly, she's a friend of Don Neuen.
She's a pecker checker.
And a pecker checker.
Forget that.
Don't forget the pecker checker.
All right. Well, here's the
and
thing.
And that is why she's always in Facebook jail, ladies and gentlemen. She just doesn't fit the mold. They don't like.
No, she's
like
a liberal heckler.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
It is pretty damn funny.
So, Kaleem, you're always in Facebook jail. You've got, liberals coming after you. You've got blacks coming after you. You've got commies coming after you. You've got stalkers coming after you. You've got Facebook coming after you. What the heck is going on that you are causing such a burr in so many saddles?
I got off the liberal plantation and started researching stuff for myself, and they don't like that. That goes against all doctrine. You're supposed to listen and do what you're told, and I'm not very good at that.
No, clearly, all you got to do is go. You had a Facebook post this past weekend that had a bunch of goofball Klan members on it, and you made some comment about them looking like gnomes in a yard.
Yes.
And they do. They look like the Travelocity gnome.
All right, let's get right to then your take as a conservative, outspoken black woman. Okay?
I'm not black anymore, Donna. Don't you know that? I've been told I'm not black anymore.
What are you then?
Well, I actually surprised a few people on one of my Facebook posts, and I finally agreed with them. I told them, fine, you don't want to say I'm black anymore, fine. I'm not. I'm a mixture. I have, Native American, white, Hispanic, you name it, I've got it in my blood. So now I am a perfectly tanned American mutt.
Okay. How about, let me ask you this. Do you suffer from Michael Jackson's disease? Like, are you getting lighter because of your political bent, though? Is your skin lightening?
The way that they put it, you would think that was what is happening, but no.
God, this is just so stupid. They make it so anyone who thinks can't, that might be black. Well, look what they've done to Herman Cain. Look what they did to Clarence Thomas. I mean, you cannot get off the government plantation. And this is what really blows my mind, because you have the internet at your fingertips. You have history at your fingertips. I know it's not being taught in the public school anymore. But the problem is these people are falling right into the liberal playbook. This whole thing with the monuments is insane. This country eradicated slavery. And I just can't imagine. The KKK was the Democrats, the Dixiecrats.
Yes.
How did they turn it around? How did they do this 180?
Oh, it's just due to the promotion of mediocrity and the dumbing down of society, I think, because you can ask, the first question I'll ask them when they come on my Facebook page is, what makes a person black? And they can't answer that. And if you look at it, for the definition now, it looks as if you're working hard, if you have a job, if you own your house, if you have a car, if you went to college, then you're too white. So, and then you must be on welfare, ghettoed out, thugged out, and going out and gangbanging and doing drugs and things in order to and Beck and get to call everything out as racist. That's the definition of black now. If you go against that and you don't do any of those things, like I've got several college degrees, I own my own house, I work hard. I've only been on welfare once when I was years and years ago when I was pregnant, single pregnant mother, and I got off, as soon as I could. So they see me as being bougie, I guess, and snotty. I've been called snotty, and arrogant and things like that. I think they tell me I think I'm too good. I've ostracized out of the black community. They no longer claim me. So I think that's what it is. It's the promotion of mediocrity and the dumbing down of society that makes it that way.
Kaleem Stevens, let me ask you a question that only you, among the three of us here, would be able to answer with any degree of integrity. In my opinion, many black Americans are prejudiced against other black Americans, just like you're talking about. But as far as I can tell, it's kind of the only race that does this. And I want to use two slang terms to describe blacks of varying skin tone color. Okay? High yellow and red bone. And
can I add? You have to add the light bright, too.
The what? The light what?
Light bright. Light bright. That's what they call high yellow folks, too, is a light bright.
All right. Why is it then, and you and I kind of talked about this the other night, why is it that certain black individuals will be bigoted against other black individuals because of the color of their skin, the tone of their skin?
Well, if you're light enough, like my daughter, she looks white. She looks full white. You would not be able to tell. It's because they think that they get more special privileges because they can pass. If you can pass for being white, then you're supposedly going to get more privileges than you are if you are darker skin.
Not anymore, though, because we've just found out after Charlottesville, we're all KKK members if we're Republicans.
Yeah.
I mean, this is unbelievable.
I've been told that, too.
All right,
Yes,
what about that quote from Malcolm X? If you buy into a political party that owns 2/3
if
of
you support a political party that controls 2/3 of government and they don't do anything for you, you're not only a political chump, but a traitor to your race. Now, I paraphrased that, but Kaleem, I think I got close, right?
Yes, you did. You got very close, and that is very true. Those would be, like, I get called a race traitor all the time. But then the true people that would be the traitors are the ones that actually do stuff that go against their own race, and that's what the liberals would be doing and the liberal blacks would be doing. I bring that up very often on my page. Like, we have the BLM folks out there marching, but they're marching to pull down, monuments and statues and things where we should be focused on building up the family unit and making things better within the black community to change the outlook that society has in the black community. Until we do that, nothing will change. If our youth are going out and gangbanging and robbing people and, going to jail all the time, then the outlook is going to be everybody is bad. And when the majority of the people are doing it and the media is focusing on all the bad stuff too, that's not going to help. We have to change that. We have to start at the bottom and change and bring back the family unit and morals. Things in the black community have changed so much. It's not a big deal to stay in school. We have the highest dropout rate. It's not a big deal if you get pregnant at 13 and have to go get an abortion. Blacks are killing themselves off more so than blacks getting killed by police right now. So
well, that's
they don't
the thing.
pay
They don't
attention
talk
to those types of things.
Yeah, Margaret Sanger. That's exactly why Planned Parenthood was made.
The Negro Project, and I know you know exactly what I'm talking about, Colleen.
Yes.
For those of you that don't, a white woman by the name of Margaret Sanger, who founded Planned Parenthood and the concept of it, who also was an absolute hero of Hillary Clinton.
Yep.
Founded a project, and Kaleem, do you know much about that project to where you'd like to talk about it? But it was called the Negro Project, and it was basically...
It was called the Negro Project, yes, and it was about eugenics. She had the view that blacks were lower and less equipped to be in society. They needed to be exterminated like weeds. She wrote several documented things, letters, and even voiced her views a lot on this. She planned on using the black ministers in there to promote the idea of it being a good idea with the black community. So she actually used our own black people to do that in the churches, just in case they heard that they were being exterminated. They had a backup plan with the ministers to say, hey, no, this is not what actually happened. This is going to be a good thing for our society, which was amazing to me. Which is also amazing that everybody's marching on these statues, but then we have a bust of Margaret Sanger in the Smithsonian right now. They haven't called that out, yet she tried to wipe out the entire black community.
Yeah, it's appalling. It's absolutely appalling. And the thing is, you know, I don't know a single individual, and I've got a relatively large circle of acquaintances. I don't know a single person that is in favor of slavery or anti-civil rights. And I live out in the country. I don't know anybody.
I don't know any either.
Where are
no
these
idea.
people?
Yeah, they're
and
paid
it's
by
amazing
George
because they will
Soros.
change it to say that all Republicans think that that slavery should exist, which is incorrect because it was the Democrat Party that actually was against slavery being abolished to begin with. They forget about that. I mean, you have Robert KKK Byrd, the Democrat senator who just died not that long ago. Yep. And they prop him up and have statues of him everywhere. They're not pulling those down. They ignore all the history. And then you also have the Nation of Islam, who is actually teaching, the black community to go with the original slave master, and it's amazing how backwards everything is.
It really is. It absolutely is appalling what's going on. Kaleem, in your opinion, what do you think, because none of us, I don't think, have been able to really dig into following the money trail with regard to Charlottesville.
George Soros.
But and we can think that, but what's your vibe telling you went down in Charlottesville a week ago?
My vibe, my personal vibe is it's taking our attention away from other stuff that's going on, and the media is actually focusing on it. There's so much misinformation that's been put out there that they're forcing us to actually pay attention to this stuff. And the money trail, that's what everybody needs to get down to. Follow the money. I always tell everybody, follow the money. I've heard George Soros being brought up on Facebook all the time, but it's even more than George Soros. They have to dig further because Soros also works for other people too.
Well, here's the thing. There's this guy, Jason Kessler, and he supposedly organized it. It's called the Unite the Right, which I never even heard of. And let's be honest here. We do news. We stay on top of news. I never heard of this organization.
I get situation reports every night, and I didn't even know the damn thing was taking place in Charlottesville until 7 o'clock last Saturday night. When we came in from working out in the fields here at the farm, we come in and we go, uh-oh, something bad's going on in Charlottesville. I'm white. I'm in the media. I get sit reps every night from an intelligence analyst, and I had no idea this was taking place. Yeah. It was inconsequential, and it was made consequential and important by the mainstream media, and I guarantee you, Terry McAuliffe and that numbnut mayor from Charlottesville. Well, this was also a political opportunity for these two left-wing liberals.
And you've got Tim Kaine,
He's just an inbred mental midget.
The point being is, this guy Jason Kessler And this was in Zero Hedge, which is no friend really of the right. They're pretty pragmatic in their reporting. They're more financial, but they do a lot of news. Jason Kessler 5 years ago was an organizer for Occupy Wall Street. He was a huge Obama supporter. CNN actually had him, and it's unclear whether the name Jason Kessler could be, pretty common. But it's unclear. However, a guy named Jason Kessler, and they do think it was this guy, reported live as a CNN anchor for the or a CNN reporter, field reporter, during the Occupy movement 5 years ago. Now, as recently as last December, he was an Obama supporter. All of a sudden now he does a 180? That just doesn't happen. This is so obvious to me that this is fomented by the Hillary, Barack Obama, DNC. They're trying to get the attention, as you say, Kouleeme, away from what's going on with the country. God forbid Donald Trump actually had a win
Russian
with North
crap
Korea.
is falling apart.
Right.
So they had to start up a new chaotic situation.
And what about the DNC? You've got this guy from Pakistan that took off. There's all this stuff in the DNC. Debbie Wasserman Schultz did exactly what Hillary did, breaking hard drives. And Obama is living in D.C. I guarantee you he has a straight line to all these mainstream media folks, because the narrative changes almost at exactly the same time with everybody. It's too coordinated.
All right,
yes.
Kouleeme.
And actually, that's straight out of the communist playbook, if you notice.
Absolutely.
They will switch a party, infiltrate, and break it down from behind. That's why you're seeing all these reports saying, oh, they're from the right. They're Republicans. No, they're not. They just switched and went under the guise of it for a little while to burn it out from the inside. That's straight out of the communist handbook.
Absolutely. Saul Alinsky and everything else that goes with the far left. Kouleeme, we've got about 5 minutes left, and I want to move into a little bit of a different direction here, because what the listeners don't know is that, first of all, or I'm going to expand on a little bit. Let me put it that way. You are a disabled veteran, correct?
Yes. Yes.
All right. And you just underwent double major knee surgeries, correct?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And on top of that, you've had another major disaster that's hit your life and the lives of those that live in your neighborhood. And
oh, yeah.
And I want you to explain this, but ladies and gentlemen, I need for you to get a piece of paper and a pen, and I'm going to give you a website a couple of times before we end this segment that we'd like for you to go to. It's a GoFundMe website. It's GoFundMe.com/Kouleeme, KUULEME, GoFundMe.com/Kouleeme. Now, something happened in your world that I don't ever want to have happen outside of the double knee surgeries on August 11th. Would you expand on that for the listeners?
We right now here in Arizona, we're in monsoon season, so that usually brings high winds, rains, and floods and things. People know about our monsoon season. Every once in a while, we get what are called microbursts, and basically what those are backwards tornadoes. Instead of going up, they come down, which tears out trees. It does basically the same thing as a tornado would do, and then we have wet and dry. And the dry ones are less. They're not that harsh because everything's dry, so it's pretty much cemented and stuck in the ground. But we had a wet one because we're in the middle of monsoon, which loosens up everything and is able to be ripped out of the ground real easily here in Arizona. So when we got hit really hard. It hit my neighborhood really, really hard. We had our fence was ripped out of the ground, and also trees knocked over. Trees are still barely hanging on. All my neighbors are either retirees or veterans themselves, so we live on a month-to-month income, and we don't really get a lot of help from our state trying to get help to recuperate either.
All right. Now, you told me something else this past week that the state said with regard to any type of insurance payoffs in which they'll help, but you have to pay a big chunk of it.
Oh, yes. My deductible is $1,000 right now. And then also we have to also pay our dump fees too, which is going to be very, very expensive considering the trees that we have are palm trees, Indian ferns, which stand about 3 stories tall like the palm trees, things like that. So it's going to be very, very expensive to even chop up and get the debris out of the yard.
And once you get it chopped up and get it ready to be taken away from your property, then you have to pay to have it taken away. The city doesn't do this.
Right. The city has graciously offered to have their recyclable trucks, their big and bulky trucks, to come around 7 days a week. But we have to call the city and set up an appointment for one of the trucks to come by and pick up the brush. And we still have to pay for the dump fees of all that, which goes by weight. And so that's going to be very expensive to do.
Well, one of the admirable characteristics of conservatives is that they appreciate the voluntary redistribution of their money. They don't like the involuntary redistribution of their money. That's key here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to give you this website again, GoFundMe.com/Kouuleme, KUULEME, GoFundMe.com/Kouuleme, KUULEME. If you've got some extra money, this young lady could definitely use the help right now. She's been hit with kind of a double whammy in that she's been hit with monsoons, as of her neighbors, fellow retirees, and veterans. Reach into the pocketbook and help out. This is a kind of a call to action.
She's got more than a double whammy. After all that, she's a conservative black woman. So, I mean, you really are in a tough spot, Kouuleme. Again, that's GoFundMe.com/Kouuleme, KUULEME. Kouuleme, God bless you. God bless you for being so outspoken. And I wish people would follow you on Facebook and really realize, especially if you are on the left, no matter what color you are, please get yourself educated and realize what's really going on, because I believe that since Barack Obama got elected, and even before that to some extent with George Bush, our country is more divided than ever, and I was hoping that would not be the case. Unfortunately, it is the case.
And also, at the very bottom of my GoFundMe, I do explain that if we do go over the amount that we're asking for the Help for Mine, I've actually said that the extra donated portions are going to go to helping the other veterans and retirees in my neighborhood. One guy has a tree down in his house. Another woman who's a widower has a tree in her house. So those funds, if we do go over, will go to helping other people in my neighborhood.
That's awesome.
Kouuleme, God bless you. Thank you so much. Again, it's GoFundMe.com/Kouuleme, KUULEME. Kouuleme, thanks so much. We'll be talking to you. God bless. Take care. And boy, after the break, we have a great hour for you folks coming up with Chris X, host of Chris X Radio, right here on Cowboy Logic Radio. Stay tuned.
Cowboys didn't dance, didn't wear designer shirts. Their hearts were filled with memories, their bodies filled with hurt. They would sit around the campfire and exchange a piercing glance. Back when the West was really wild, cowboys didn't dance, yes. When cowboys didn't dance, didn't wear designer shirts. When their hearts were filled with memories, their bodies filled with hurt. They would sit around the campfire and exchange a piercing glance. Back when the West was really wild, cowboys didn't dance.
Check us out on the web at cowboylogic.us.
Hello, everyone. I'm Donna Fiducia.
And I'm Don Neuen, and this is Cowboy Logic Radio.
Cowboys didn't dance, didn't wear designer shirts. When their hearts were filled with memories, their bodies filled with hurt. They would sit around the campfire and exchange a piercing glance. Back when the West was really wild, cowboys didn't dance.
Cowboy Logic.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to be the first to welcome you back to another riveting hour of Cowboy Logic Radio. Of course, my name is Don Neuen, ladies and gentlemen. I would say that tonight's show thus far, Donna, has been absolutely off the scale riveting. Would you not agree with me?
Are you done?
Yep.
Okay.
All done. Got that in. Got it out of the way.
It's always riveting.
You know what it's like every time at the top of each hour and the beginning of each show?
It's riveting.
It's like being constipated all week long and finally being able to release things.
Well, can we...
Didn't you like that analogy?
Yeah, that's TMI is what it is. Absolutely.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a guest on, and we're going to have this gentleman for the entire hour. We're thrilled about this. I've been looking forward to this for a couple of weeks when we first started talking about it. This is a guy that we work with on Talk America Radio, and he's got a morning show that I need to let you all know I listen to every morning on the Liberty Channel when I drive into work. He comes on at 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, and this is who I go to. This is appointment radio. This guy has taken the place for me that Neil Bortz once filled. And
that's saying a lot.
Yeah, it is.
That's big shoes to fill. Huge. Huge.
So, Donna, here's what I'm going to put you on the spot to do what you do like no one else does. Mm-hmm. I want you to introduce Chris X, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, come on down. Chris X is the mystery man behind Chris X Radio. Ooh. Anyhow, he got his start in local TV news, and he quickly moved into radio to help launch Houston's only business radio station, 650 AM. And I must say, Chris, we need to talk about business later on, especially if you do stocks. After hosting the public affairs program, he graduated to co-hosting the highly rated afternoon drive time show, Street Talk. And it climbed into syndication, where Chris X became infamous, not only for his moniker, but also his opinions as well. Anyhow, as Don just said, Chris is on our radio network now, and we are so happy to have him on the Liberty Channel. If you go to talkamericaradio.us, you can find him. And if you want to listen weekdays live, he's on from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on the Liberty Channel, and you can even call his show at 281-769-5355. That's 281-769-5355.
But
not
don't
now.
call that right now, ladies
because
and gentlemen.
Right now, he's on with us. But also, Chris will be on the terrestrial stations as well, and our overnight package.
That's right.
Okay?
We have just been able to shift our schedules around, and we are now running Chris X Radio on the overnight terrestrial package that starts at 9 p.m. and runs straight through, actually, till 9 a.m. with Scott James in the morning, but really 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. We've added Chris 5 nights a week, starting at 11 p.m. Eastern. All right, 8 a.m. out in the land of Governor Moonbeam.
Yep.
All right, so 11 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, you got Chris X coming to you, 5 days a week. All right, Chris, let's stop with all this. I mean, welcome to Big Cowboy Logic Radio, and I want to remind you again, I'm Don Neuen.
Wait, who's the host of this thing again? I'm not quite sure. I haven't
Don Neuen.
Donna. Got it. Okay, got it.
Yeah, there
Donna.
you go.
Don.
By the way, let's say at Chris X Radio, CHRIS X Radio is where you can find him, or on Facebook, and like his Chris X fan page as well, and on Twitter. And again, the Liberty Eagle. And you're in Houston, Texas, Chris X. Welcome to Cowboy Logic Radio.
Well, thanks for having me. You guys are so awesome. I don't think I really need to say anything. I think you guys have already said everything.
You don't.
So.
We just did 4 minutes of intro for you, man. How much is that worth?
You know what? I don't know. I better get the checkbook out for that one, because that was pretty solid right there.
All right. Now, because we want to do some shameless cross-promotion with you, since you do have such a wonderful show on the talkamericaradio.us network, you also say you have a sociological environment that we call Americana in your show.
Yes.
I want to ask, given what's happened the last couple of weeks, it seems like Americana is suddenly passé, horrible, the KKK, the alt-right. I mean, I really am taking exception to this. It's gotten to the point where the narrative has been changed now by the left with the willing allies in the mainstream media that if you like Trump and you want to make America great again, you're somehow a racist KKK pig.
Yeah, you make a good point. The only thing I'll disagree with you on is it hasn't happened in the last couple of weeks. It's actually happened in the last 8-9 years.
Yeah.
This has been a slow transition, and somebody I quote on my program regularly is a Democrat pollster by the name of Patrick Cadell. Mm-hmm. Back in 2012, when Benghazi occurred and the administration lied to us, and then Hillary Clinton lied to us, and Barack Obama lied to us, and Ambassador Susan Rice lied to us, and then, of course, she got promoted for lying. Well, then what happened was there was a debate, and during that debate, Candy Crowley, the quote-unquote moderator of the debate, defended a sitting president in a debate on a bold-faced lie, and then immediately went on television and told everyone afterwards. And that, maybe it wasn't true, but it was the words that we were hanging on. So what happened is slowly but surely there has been a shift. And what is now Americana is now completely under attack by the quote-unquote Antifa, which are actually fascists, the Black Lives Matter groups, because if you say all lives matter, you're racist. But if you say Black Lives Matter, well, that is somehow not racist. And what's happened is the left, as you, I know Donna knows this because she's worked in it for many years, is when you go into the media, it is over 90% of all media outlets donate to the Democrat Party. They are leftists. They've been leftists for a very long time, but now they have literally lost their minds, and it's been incrementally coming to this point to get to the point to where they've lost their minds. And you're right, all they do is attack Trump day in, day out, and if you support them, they've changed the narrative now. Not only do you not agree with America and you hate America and you're a horrible thing and you're terrible, but if you supported Trump, you are now a white supremacist or a Nazi. And they've labeled this so people can do like what I covered last week on my program. He's a college professor, Mark Bray, says Nazism has to be stopped by force. Self-defense is necessitated by groups like Antifa. So what he's done is he's setting that narrative along with the lamestream media, which, of course, when the president said, well, if I condemn violence on all sides, that is somehow racist and horrible. You can't denounce violence on all sides. You have to only denounce violence on the side that they deem that it's necessary. So when this Dartmouth professor goes on and says, well, we need violence, these people need to do this, they've already painted the narrative. They're calling Donna and Don and me fascists. They're calling us Nazis. They're calling us white supremacists, when I don't even know one of any of the ones I just mentioned. But they've labeled that, so not only can they try to silence us, stop us, but then even commit violence against us without due process just to achieve their means. And that is a dangerous tipping point where we are in this country today.
Well, it's typical Saul Alinsky, create chaos and foment chaos. I mean, when Hillary said we are all deplorable, everybody was, thought that was deplorable to say that. But they're taking another step. It's not deplorable. You're now racist in the KKK. And we're 15 miles from Alabama, where we are right now. I don't see the KKK anywhere. All right. I've been living for many, many decades in New York City and now 10 years in Georgia.
Well,
I don't
here's the
see the
thing.
KKK anywhere. I'm sick of them telling me the narrative.
Last week I saw a number, and you guys may have seen this and agree with me. It may be a valid number of 5,000 individuals in the United States that align themselves with this, racist, KKK, white supremacist mode. Only 5,000. And we live out in, like Donna just said, we're in West Georgia. We're in rural America. We don't see any of this stuff. I've been here 12 years in this part of the country. And I have yet to see anybody that I run into, and I'm sure they're out there, but I've yet to see anybody that I've run into, especially out here in the country, align themselves with any kind of a racist mentality. They're either closet racists or they don't exist. Either way, they're inconsequential to me.
Well, Don, you're 100% correct. The reality is, in this country of over 300 million people, there is maybe 5,000, whatever it is. Now, the media and the news are going to take it as though, oh, my God, they're everywhere. Everybody who's white is racist now. Everyone on the right is racist now. And the reality is they've been relegated. These horrible groups like the Ku Klux Klan that for years terrorized African Americans and Jewish people and Hispanics and you name it in this country.
And Republicans.
They
terrorized Republicans.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about them being formed by the Democrat Party. We can't talk about that. Okay, that is hate speech, ladies and gentlemen. You're not allowed to say that.
Oh, okay.
But the reality is, it's a very small percentage, and they've been relegated. But the problem is now you've got this media, and they understand they lost back in last November, and that person they thought that was going to be in the White House is not. And they've literally taken out all the stops to do everything they can. If you remember, first it was the Russians, right? Because then it was Donald Trump and his entire campaign was working with the Russians, and then they cheated and bypassed the election process, and that's how it happened. Well, it turned out there wasn't one Russian that manipulated a single vote, so then it's not that. Well, then, okay, no, he obstructed justice with the Russian investigation. So he did that. Turns out that didn't happen. So now they've moved on to racism. It's the next thing. And racism has been the biggest trump card we've had in the last 8 years.
Absolutely.
We had a president who jumped on every time. But he jumped at every opportunity, and the police acted stupidly, and he defended these people. That was the mayor of Baltimore that said you got to give them room to destroy and things like this. And then we've had over this. For the mere fact that our current president said he condemns violence on all sides, and he's talking about Black Lives Matter, where a little over a year ago, 5 police officers were murdered in Dallas, Texas by a Black Lives Matter sympathizer. But you can't connect those two. And then you've got multiple cases where there were protests by Black Lives Matter groups where hundreds of people were assaulted, some were killed, cops were hit in the head with cinder blocks. You can't talk about that violence. You can't talk about Antifa burning down Berkeley and injuring people, hitting them in the head with bike locks. You can't do all of that. In fact, you can't even condemn Bernie Sanders because one of his supporters went off and decided, I'm going to murder Republicans practicing for a charity baseball game. But you can't do that. But then again, Bernie Sanders can come out and condemn our sitting president for the attack of one psychopath a couple weeks ago in Charlottesville, Virginia. Somehow that's the president's fault, but it's not. It's a double standard, which they use to the nth degree. And I think Dinesh D'Souza pointed it out as good as you possibly could.
Yep.
So remember when you couldn't say, when the president would not call out Islamic terrorism, radical Islamic terrorism. So if Donald Trump is a Nazi for not calling out the Nazis, which he did, but doesn't matter, that's the narrative they run with, then is Barack Obama, our former president, an Islamic terrorist for not calling out Islamic terrorists for 8 years?
No.
That's a good point. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got Chris X from Chris X Radio on with us. Appointment Radio. If you have the ability to tune into Talk America Radio, found at talkamericaradio.us, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, you need to do it. You'll find him in the Liberty Channel. Mm-hmm. And then if you can't do that for some reason, then you need to tune in to the Justice Channel at Talk America Radio, found at talkamericaradio.us at 11 p.m. Monday through Friday, because last night he started 5 days a week on the Justice Channel at 11 o'clock at night, and I could not be more thrilled. Hey, let me throw something out to both of you guys. I would submit that there are more transgenders in the United States than there are members of the KKK or white supremacist organizations. What do you think?
Wow.
That's a pretty good point.
Hey, by the way, Don, I want to go back and do you one better. First of all, you're right. People need to be listening to the programs, especially Cowboy Logic Radio. And I'm pumped to be on the network, especially now that I'm on 5 nights a week as well as my morning show. I did want to say one thing. They can go online and listen online, but all you kids today, they're all glued to their smartphones. Don't forget that you can download the TuneIn Radio app, which is free. You can go to the Talk America Radio network there, and you can listen to the Liberty Channel, the Justice Channel, and listen to all that programming and take it with you everywhere you go. Listen in your car, listen while you're jogging, whatever you're doing, you can listen. So make sure you download that TuneIn Radio app and listen to Talk America Radio. You pick your channel, pick your shows, and listen to it, because you got to be able to take it with you everywhere you go. As far as the transgender compared to racist, I you know what? That's a question I don't know. And you know what? I'm kind of one of those people that I don't really care what you do in the privacy of your own home's your own business. I don't even want to know, nor do I really care what people want to do in the privacy of their own homes, as long as it's legal and within the confines of the law.
I've always said you can swing from a ceiling fan, stick a bottle in your butt, and cluck like a chicken for all I care. Just don't make me pay for it, and don't teach my kids how to do it in a public school.
Again, TMI. Again, TMI. Okay, the thing is, where does it stop? I mean, now you've actually had people on the Fox News channel over the weekend say there have been Lincoln statues that have been desecrated. They want to do something to the Lincoln Memorial. That's going to really, really strike a nerve. the George Washington Monument, and other monuments all around the country with people because they own slaves. Hey, you know what? Anderson Cooper is a Vanderbilt. I bet they own slaves. What's he going to do about that?
Yeah. The sad part is, Donna, is you make a great point, is where does it stop? And we've learned with the left, there is no stop. It's always incrementally moving forward to the left, which is actually a step backwards for those who are actually paying attention. And it doesn't stop. I mean, in Houston alone here last week, you had a Christopher Columbus statue vandalized. You've had this peace and justice. All different kinds of things are being vandalized because these people on this side of the movement are, 1, ignorant, 2, arrogant, and 3, violent. That is a very bad combination. And the problem is they don't care about facts. They don't care about logic. They care about what they feel about it that very moment, and they will destroy whatever it takes to make themselves feel better. And the problem is we had an administration for the last 8 years that enabled this behavior to perpetuate to get to this point. And it's bad and it's dangerous. And I think one of the reasons why they hate Donald Trump as much as he does, because he's a law and order guy. He actually doesn't want to allow people to do this and absolutely wants to stop it and wants police to have order and law and those sort of things. And man, they hate him for it. And you can see that in the media, and you can see that, of course, on Twitter with the clowns out of Hollywood, like, well, you just name it, Rosie O'Donnell on down the list. These people hate him, and they will do by all means necessary. I talked about it last week. That Missouri state senator, who now has deleted her Facebook post, said that she hoped President Trump would be assassinated. It's bad enough for a regular civilian to say something like that, but you've got state senators saying this kind of garbage. These people have lost their minds.
Well, the one inspiring thing with regard to that state senator is even someone like Claire McCaskill is calling her for her removal. So that is nice to see that at least some of them have at least a smidgen of a conscience.
That would be a smidgen. But you're not from New York. You don't know that. A smidgen. Okay.
What did I say?
Schmidgen or something. I don't know how you said. Hey,
well,
what about Bob
I've got German blood in me. And no, that doesn't make me a Nazi.
I don't know.
It's Swiss blood. I'm Swiss. My ancestors spoke High German.
You're an
and no, that doesn't
Nazi.
mean pot smoking people from Switzerland. I am so tired of being labeled. You know, I get labeled as a racist. For 8 years, I was labeled a racist. I'm 56 years old. I have never been labeled a racist in my entire life until we ended up with a black president. What the hell's going on with it? You know, Chris, let me throw this at you. Election night. I went through 3 major emotional transitions. The first took place around 9 or 10 p.m. Eastern on election night when you couldn't shove a grease BB in my you-know-what because I was stressing because it didn't look at that point like Trump was going to be victorious. And we need to also remind the listeners and also let you know, Donna and I, Trump was not our first choice. We were Ted Cruz guys. But when Ted Cruz clearly was not going to make it to the general election, Donna and I said, all right, our role and our job has now changed. Our job now is to not necessarily piss and moan because our guy didn't make it, but what it was now the objective was to defeat liberalism at all cost. And that's what we decided to focus our efforts on all the way up until the night of the election. So at about 9 or 10 o'clock at night, I'm stressing pretty heavily. We get a phone call from Charles Ortel at about 10 o'clock, and he goes, listen, Trump's going to win. You can stop stressing. He's going to win. So that was a little bit of a reprieve from the stress. And then when he started kicking butt in the Iron Belt, in the Rust Belt, then we started going through that emotion of being elated, being thrilled, feeling victorious, and being happy. But then the final one was at about 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and we were bouncing around with all the major networks, news networks. We'd go to Fox, we'd go to CNN, we'd go to MSLSD. We'd check them all out. And when we went to CNN, you got Van Jones on there talking about how all of these people are going to wake up in the morning. Their kids are going to come down to the breakfast table, and they're going to tell their kids How do we explain to them how not to be absolutely terrified?
Yeah.
That's when I knew that Trump would not have a single day where he was not under a high-powered microscope.
I have a black friend, Chris, whose daughter came home crying. And they live in a gated community in Georgia, $1 million community. And I'm like, and why was she crying? Because this is what they're being taught.
Because Van Jones told her to cry.
No, it's not. But the teachers, this is why the cradle to the grave healthcare and education is so important to the Democrats, because it's total propaganda and brainwashing. He couldn't answer why she was upset. I mean, it's crazy. And it's almost like we're racist now because we didn't elect another black president or a woman.
Well, it's once again them setting the narrative, and I reference Patrick Cadell once again because he nailed it. What happened is, and I know, Donna, you worked in the news business for a while, so you understand it's not really about news. It's not about information. It's about pushing a narrative. One is to make money, and then two is to push their ideology, to propagate what they want to believe. And to touch on what Don just said, I've got a little audio that I can play for you, and I think you may enjoy this because you've probably heard of it, maybe not to the degree that you're about to hear it played here, but the reality is the media they're not about media. They're about manipulating those, for one, the ill-informed. Two is to get them onto their side. Whatever their side is, that's it. Anything else is, well, you're either a Russian spy or you're a racist or you name it. And on election night, the funniest thing, and I agree with what Don was saying, watching the media literally melt down. The only network that didn't freak out was Fox News because they were just sitting back just waiting to see. The rest of the networks melted down. And for those who need a quick reminder, just take a listen. This is a little what it sounded like back then.
Tomorrow night, I think when Hillary Clinton wins, that Donald Trump will have lost this election from the very first day he announced.
Really?
And took off after Mexicans.
Okay.
Classic Trump. I think you have to view last night's debate as Donald Trump's concession speech. He realizes he can't win.
He had no chance, in my view. And the numbers are going to bear that out tomorrow.
Well, I can't find a single Republican who now thinks they're going to win.
You can't go into a general election with only 25% of the Republican base behind you and expect to win in a general. You just can't.
That's an awfully difficult lead to make up. It really is at this point, particularly when Trump's negatives remain in the 60s, which is just almost unprecedented.
We may lose by historic proportions.
It's just that he knows he can't win, so why not?
No. I think Donald Trump has fooled himself into looking at his crowds and the rallies and the size, and he thinks that's America.
He had no chance to win doing what he was doing, and with the Latino community feeling so targeted from the very first day he announced.
This guy isn't a Republican. He can't beat Hillary Clinton.
Wrong.
See, the reality was that was why you felt the way you did, Don, was because they wanted you to feel that way. They didn't want you to believe for a second that he could win. They didn't want anyone else to believe that. And what happened was their world came crashing down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Chris X from Chris X Radio. You can find him at Talk America Radio and talkamericaradio.us. Chris, I got a hat tip you, man. You are the first guest that we have had in almost 5 years of being on the air that has ever queued up his own soundbite. Ladies and gentlemen, if there is no other reason that you need to check out Chris X Radio, that's it right there. He made history on Cowboy Logic Radio. Big hat tip. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to go to a break. We'll be back after a couple of minutes, and we're going to be back with more from Chris X from Chris X Radio.
Cowboys didn't dance, didn't wear designer shirts. Their hearts were filled with memories, their bodies filled with hurt. They would sit around the campfire.
Hey, Chris, thanks for helping me out here.
No problem, Donna. Anything I can do to help the cause, if you know what I mean.
Okay, so you have the script, right?
Yep, got it.
And you got the check for $200, right?
Yep, got it.
Okay, let me count you down. 3, 2, 1.
Hi, this is Chris X from Chris X Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel compelled to tell you about my favorite radio talk host in the entire surface of the earth. It's Don Neuen, co-host of Cowboy Logic Radio. Don, are you serious?
Just read the script, Chris. You've been paid.
Okay, all right. Not Rush Limbaugh, not Mark Levin, not Sean Handy, not even Donna Fiducia.
Hey, I didn't write this. Don did. Come on, Chris. Look at it like it's a quick $200.
Okay, Don Neuen, co-host of Cowboy Logic Radio, is a seasoned intellectual, ahead of the curve, engaging, mind-stimulating. Extremely entertaining. Don Neuen is the complete package.
Don't worry, Chris. We can edit this.
Oh, thank God. Copy that. All right, catch Don Neuen, co-host of Cowboy Logic Radio, my favorite talk radio host, right here on Talk America Radio. Check the schedules for showtimes at talkamericaradio.us.
All right, thanks, Chris. Now spend that $200 quickly before Don realizes it's missing out of his checking account.
I will.
KTA Digital Dallas. Talk America Radio.
Hey folks, this is AJ Gaynor, host of Blow and Smoke on the Talk America Radio Network. We know the mainstream media has a narrative they're pushing. On my show, Blow and Smoke, we challenge that narrative, sometimes with simple facts, other times with instinctive logic, but always with truthful, honest debate. I believe the perspective I provide my listeners is indeed unique. Tune in to Blow and Smoke with yours truly, AJ Gaynor, on the Talk America Radio Network and at talkamericaradio.us.
This is Denise Simon, host of the Denise Simon Experience. When I'm not debating with Donna Fiducia about politics, I listen to Cowboy Logic Radio. Why, you ask? Because outside of my blog, founderscode.com, and my own radio show, the Denise Simon Experience, Cowboy Logic is by far the most entertaining and informative radio show on planet Earth. Plus, Don makes me feel guilty if I don't listen to his radio show every week.
KTA Digital Dallas. Talk America Radio. Simulcasting on WDDQ, Talk 92.1, Adel, Valdosta, Georgia. And WJHC, Talk 107.5, Jasper, Florida.
Hey, everybody, they're back on again.
Cowboys didn't dance, didn't wear designer shirts when their hearts were filled with memories, their bodies filled with hurt. They would sit around the campfire and exchange a piercing glares. Back when the West was really wild, cowboys didn't dance.
Welcome back to Cowboy
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let me be the first to welcome you to big segment number 4. This is also known as the cleanup batter, the home run hitter, the big poppy. Don't you think so, Donna? The big poppy.
I loved the Big Poppy.
I know you did, but I liked, what's his name,
I
Ramirez
think you're more
better.
The Pedro Martinez.
Yeah, but he looks like a fruit bat.
Yeah, he does.
But I liked Manny Ramirez.
Yeah, I
The
did.
boy with ADD out in the outfield didn't know what to do with himself. Couldn't decide whether he wanted to listen to his iPod or play baseball.
He looked
But
like
I
he
liked
had
Manny Ramirez.
earbuds in. So
sagging pants and all. He looked like a convict walking down the side of the road. Don't you think, Donna?
Yes.
He had the sag going on. You couldn't tell where the crotch of his pants started or ended, or the bottom of his pants, quite frankly. And we're talking about Manny Ramirez.
Yes,
but enough about him. Let's get back to me. I'm Don Neuen, ladies and gentlemen, and I would like to welcome you back to the fourth quarter, the big end of the ball game here. Back to you, Donna.
And we're talking with Chris X. You can hear him live weekdays, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time.
And at 11 p.m. Monday through Friday Eastern Time. And why is that so important? Because the Eastern Time is what leads the way. Back to you, Donna.
Are you done? You can find him at Chris X Radio. Like him on Facebook, Chris X fan page. He's so weird. TuneIn radio app. He's all over the place. But if you can't catch him live, you can catch him at night on our terrestrial package as well, so which is really cool. And Chris, we're so happy to have you part of, I was going to say Cowboy Logic Radio for this hour, obviously, but also our Talk America Radio at talkamericaradio.us. And you were talking about Big Poppy and all the folks from the Red Sox.
All right, that was a segue into Boston. You've been
Boston.
wanting to talk about Boston. Back to you, Donna.
I mean, it seems like isn't it ironic, Chris, that all this is happening now? It's coming to a head in Boston. I mean, I know it was this past weekend, but here's the deal. Here's what really gets me. What are they protesting now? I mean, I could see you had a revolution. You had slavery. what the hell are they protesting now? They hate this country that much. They are trying to divide everybody so much so that they can't.
Yeah, that's what it is, Donna. Chris, what are your thoughts on that?
I say they are protesting exactly what the former president told them. We were, 5 days away from fundamentally changing the fabric of this nation, and he did everything he could. And now all these people are freaked out because you got a guy who stepped in and using very similar tactics to what the previous president did to eliminate the garbage that he put in that did make it a better nation. And these people are freaked out. They think they're going to lose their free health care, which is not free. They think they're losing their rights because the clowns in the media have told them they're losing their rights. They think everybody's racist or fascist now, so they call themselves Antifa, and then they jump in and they attack people with Stasi-style tactics. And what's going on in Boston, what happened in Charlottesville, what's happening in Houston and cities across the country is history repeating itself. I talked about this last week on my program. Those who do not study history are destined to repeat it. These clowns have done nothing but maybe read a few books in college, if half of them have done that, and they have no real-world experience. Therefore, and they don't teach history in college anymore. No. So therefore, what are they doing? They're protesting what they don't even know, nor do they understand. They have no real world experience, and it is simply history repeating itself. And I think that's what we're seeing across the country.
They don't
teach that in high school or middle school either.
No. America is just horrible. And you know what? Whatever happened with Obama, did he ever say anything when everybody was chanting pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon? Those are harsh words. How about the Cambridge police acted stupidly?
I would submit that no, he didn't say anything, and he might have been sitting there watching CNN or MSNBC,
smiling,
lip syncing along with it.
Exactly. 5 cops killed, assassinated in Dallas. I don't believe he did anything. The charity baseball game targeting Republicans. Well, that was when Trump was president. And the thing is, they changed the narrative, as you mentioned in the last segment, Chris. It was Russia. Now it was Russian collusion. Well, they didn't change the vote, so that's not the case. Now it's obstruction of justice. And now it's just half the country's racist. And this is exactly on a smaller scale. If you have an argument with a leftist that doesn't want to hear your side of the narrative, this is almost exactly what happens on a smaller scale. They try to argue with facts. They really don't have any. You throw facts at them, they're at a loss, so then you're racist. It's amazing.
You make very good points, and you're absolutely right. When a Black Lives Matter supporter murdered 5 police officers in Dallas, did the president immediately come out and condemn Black Lives Matter? No, he did not. In fact, he defended them, and then he did his little way of unity, which was we need to all come together, much like the Democrats did when this guy showed up in Alexandria and tried to murder Republicans for being Republicans. He was an ardent Bernie Sanders supporter, and what happened was when he came and tried to murder them and shot Steve Scalise, who's still recovering, doing better, thank God, but he shot these other Republicans. The funny thing was Chuck Schumer, which if you listen to my program, I know Don hears me say this all the time, I call him Schmuck Schumer because he had to be a member of the Chum gang in order to come to the logic that he does. And Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton and all of them came out and said, listen, we need to tone down the rhetoric on all sides, okay? We really need to tone down the rhetoric because it's getting out of hand because our people are attacking now. So we got to tone down the rhetoric on all sides. They said, all of them said it. And less than 24 hours later, Nancy Pelosi was already blaming Republicans for everything that had already happened and had amped up the rhetoric. But the funny thing is, when the president comes out and says, listen, we need to condemn violence on all sides, that is now fascist, Nazi, white supremacist. Once again, it's the controlling of the narrative. And I do this all the time on my program. ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, all of these networks, they're run by Democrats, they're controlled by Democrats, they're edited by Democrats, and all they do is push a Democrat narrative constantly. Facts be damned. When the President Trump calls them out as fake news, believe me, fake news, he's right. They're not real news anymore. They haven't been for a long time. And believe me, they're failing bigly.
Hey, very good.
Throw something at you real
hold
quick.
on a second, Donna.
Don has a question.
Back when Martin O'Malley was at least still allowed to sit on a stage with Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, at one point he was asked, or he made the comment, I should say, that all lives matter.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the Democrat Party reamed him a new one to the point where he had to backtrack on that and say that was not the case. What a disgrace. What an absolute disgrace.
Well, that brings me to another point. You're absolutely right, because if you say all lives matter, you are considered to be a racist. You just don't understand the plight of the African American in this country for you to dare say that. And it shows a bigger picture. It also shows the intolerance of the party of progress and tolerance. They have no tolerance and there is no progress. But when it comes to this, the violence we're seeing, and it's all excused. It's always excused. It's never indefensible when it's on their side, but it's always indefensible on the other side. And then you have college professors that are now saying, oh, it's okay for Antifa to go and commit violence to these people because they're stopping Nazis. Well, they've painted everyone Nazis. If you support Donald Trump or you voted for him, if you didn't vote for their candidates, you're now a Nazi and deserve to be punched in the face. It's a very dangerous narrative. And the media, Democrats have become the party of death, danger, and also erasing of history. To touch back on something you said a little while ago, Don, and Donna even touched on this as well, education. You're right. It starts from elementary school. Democrats took over the education system in this country over 50 years ago, and it's no longer education. It is indoctrination. And that's what they've been doing. They craft that narrative from day one, and they go on and do this. Now there's something that is remarkably strange to me. If I was to mention a group of people going around destroying statues because they don't like them, you would say, oh, well, obviously we're talking about Democrats. No, I'm talking about ISIS. That's what they've done for the last few years. And now all of a sudden Democrats have something very common with a hate group known by ISIS because they're destroying history. Democrats and ISIS really like to destroy these signs. They like to destroy statues. And the weird thing is the biggest difference between the two is, I guess, Democrats pray at the altar of global warming and don't worship an Islamic God. But they defend that Islamic God at every opportunity. It's very weird.
Here's the thing, though. All of these radical factions, whether it's here in the United States or in the Middle East, if you trace this back, I submit that it has roots with the KGB. Okay? The KGB was very instrumental in creating and training the Muslim Brotherhood. In addition, all of these left-wing Saul Alinsky tactics that we're seeing that nobody seems to identify unless it's an alternative media source like your show or ours, this is all rooted in the chaos and the confusion that the Russians specialize in. So I would submit that a lot of everything that we're dealing with globally can be traced right back to the KGB.
Well, it's done. You could be dead on the money. And when it comes to, of course, we've learned at this point, you have Antifa running around pointing the finger and saying everybody's Nazis and everybody's fascists. And we're trying to stop fascism as Antifa. While they're doing that, they're committing fascist style tactics. So they're the true fascists. So maybe everybody that we've heard for the last 6-7 months in this country screaming Russia, 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 maybe they truly were the ones that are involved, because we saw that Hillary Clinton's campaign had a whole lot more connections. And then, of course, Barack Obama in the last 8 years with Russia, including a back channel, all of these things than the Trump campaign ever did. And that really gives you pause for thought, doesn't it?
Yeah, just let Vlad let me get elected and we'll have a little more leeway. Just tell Vlad.
You can't walk 2 city blocks in Washington, D.C. without passing multiple Russian operatives. And that doesn't even include operatives from Iran, operatives from China, operatives from Pakistan. They are here. And I don't mean to sound like some, conspiracy tinfoil hat nut. They're here. And they're in our school systems. They're in our secondary education. They're in our businesses. They're in our development and R&D. We've got so many operatives in R&D, and I know I'm taking this in a whole nother direction here. But that's the problem. It's infected. They're in our media. They're in our government.
But we're there as well. How come we're not as effective? Because we don't have willing allies in the media, obviously with the Russian media, because it's controlled by the
Well, I think the big game changer is the media.
Yeah. And look at what you said about the KGB and the Muslim Brotherhood. They're also with Iran. They train the mullahs, educated the mullahs in Iran. The Ayatollahs in Iran, Patrice Lumumba University, which they've renamed a Peace University or some stupid thing. But the KGB has deep roots in Iran and obviously in all the destruction that's going on. And nobody talks about that because we're all just racists.
Well, I'll just say this to both of you. The 80s called, and they want their foreign policy back. You guys remember back in 2012 when the President of the United States made a joke and the entire left-wing media ran with it, and he said, the 80s called, and he said, I'm glad you recognize Al-Qaeda as a threat to Mitt Romney during a debate, because the 80s called and they want their foreign policy back when Mitt Romney stated the biggest geopolitical threat that we have is Russia. He said that. They laughed at him. The media laughed at him. The moderator laughed at him. America laughed at him. And what happened? Just a few years later, in the very next election, it is all Russia all the time. Russia collusion, Russia. Maybe they knew something that we didn't, and they were just covering it up. Sure, they were.
But somebody like a Mitt Romney and unfortunately a Ted Cruz and certainly John McCain would never stand up to the onslaught of the leftist media like Donald Trump is. And God bless him for that.
Now, it's funny you guys mentioned earlier as Ted Cruz supporters, and I too. I'm here. I broadcast out of Houston, and Ted's from here, and he's our senator out of Texas, our junior senator, and we love Ted Cruz down here. He carried this state in the primaries. I supported Ted Cruz. In fact, I supported a few other candidates before Donald Trump. But once he got the nomination, it was a no-brainer. But that being said, he is the one candidate, and he's the first one that I recall in a very, very long time, maybe if ever, to not only run a campaign of these various platforms that he wants to do, but then soon as he got in office, he immediately started putting them in effect. The wall, the economy, jobs, and all, and they hate it. Repealing Obamacare, they absolutely hate it. The funny thing was, I was very reluctant. I knew Donald Trump had a good chance of winning because of the name recognition. He's a billionaire. It takes that kind of money, that kind of clout to be able to do the things that he says and that he does. But then once he's got in there and the things he's done, if an election were held tomorrow, I would vote for Donald Trump 100 times over just about anybody else running. And I like guys like Rand Paul and Ted Cruz, some of these others, but he is doing things they can't do. And I think we need that. We need a hard correction in this country, and he's trying to do it, and boy, they're pushing back hard.
At least Rand Paul is mature enough to know that the big bottom line is getting rid of Obamacare. So he went ahead and voted, to try to repeal and replace, which went nowhere because of John McCain, who, in my opinion, and the Lindsey Graham Nisties, as I call them, and all of those other candidates that ran against Trump that he really obviously embarrassed. I mean, I can see where there's sour grapes there, but you know what? They are now putting themselves over the betterment of the country. And we've had Kelly Ward on the show. I mean, if Dr. Kelly Ward had gotten in after John McCain totally lambasted her, I don't know where the feminists were with that one. We would be on the road to repealing Obamacare at this point. And I hope she beats this idiot Flake in your state too. I mean, in Arizona too.
You know what? I want to touch on something you just said. First of all, it's very interesting because you're right when it comes to Ted Cruz and Rand Paul. Donald Trump is very nasty to those guys in the primary, and I took offense to that. But that being said, I understand where it was and where he was and how he plays. He's a New York street fighter. He did his deal. It's over. Those guys have come to his defense and are helping him push his agenda because it's what's best for America. They get it. And then to go back and look at John McCain, even though you're right, he voted against repeal and replace. It was repeal and replace light. That bill basically was garbage. It was better than what's there, but he may have done America a huge favor by doing this and it not going through, because now Donald Trump is going back. He's using his bully pulpit to go after these Republicans and they say, listen, let's do repeal, then replace later. That may be far better, and John McCain may have done us a big favor in his misguided attempt, because I am no fan of John McCain.
Yeah, me neither. And I really wish...
Well, I appreciate his military service. His legislative service has been less than desirable for me. Ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking with Chris X, the host of the Chris X Radio. And you can find Chris, and if you do like I do, which I'm advising you strongly to do, you should make him appointment radio. And we've worked this out at Talk America Radio, found at talkamericaradio.us for your listening convenience. And that means that at 10 o'clock in the morning, if you have the time, you can check out Chris Monday through Friday on the Liberty Station. And if you can't seem to wake up, or if you're a millennial, then you can listen to him at 11 o'clock at night Eastern on Justice. 5 days a week, 1 hour each day, 2 times a day. We got 10 hours a week coming at you with Chris X Radio, chrisxradio.com. Chris, to me, you are appointment radio. I said that earlier. I mean it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be like me, Don Neuen, if you want to better yourself, if you want to strive for excellence and get ahead of the curve, you need to listen to Chris X Radio.
Man, that's very nice of you to say, Don. I really appreciate you guys doing that. I'm very excited to be on, weeknights as well now, as well as my live show in the morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. And I agree with you. Go to Talk America Radio, go to the, of course, download that TuneIn Radio app, and you can listen if you're driving around. Just go to Talk America Radio there to download the Liberty Channel or the Justice Channel. Listen to whichever you want. Make sure you're listening to Cowboy Logic as well. The thing is, for those who want to follow me, you mentioned this earlier in the program. I'm on, of course, on Twitter, which I'm not real active at, Chris X Radio. More active on Facebook, Chris X, just like the fan page. And I broadcast the program. Something I added that I was totally against. I didn't want to do video. I added a video stream, and we broadcast live on Facebook on the Liberty Eagle channel, so people can not only listen if they're in their cars or they're driving around, but they can also go watch it. And adding all of these different elements, it's really crazy because of all the comments, the interaction you get, people calling into the program. And for you to call it appointment radio, that means a lot. And I really appreciate that, Don.
Well, and I'm driving in my car, so clearly I can't do, the Facebook streaming that you do. But I have seen replays of that. And if you don't mind, take a second and tell the listeners about Liberty. It's Liberty Eagle, right?
Liberty Eagle. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Liberty Eagle Facebook page.
Share that a little bit with the listeners, because I think you'll do it more justice than I will.
Well, it was interesting because I've been doing radio for years, and I bounced around, done different shows, and then when I came on doing the Talk America Radio Network, I was very excited to be a part of the network. But then people with one of the previous shows had told me, they said, "Listen, you really need to go to Facebook. This is a new thing. People are doing Facebook Live." Well, everybody's just literally putting up their phones doing their Facebook Live. Well, I looked at that and I went, I'm an old school radio guy. I don't want to do anything kind of lack of a better term, half-assed. So I said, I want to do this correctly. So what I did is I did a little research, got a little software, put it on, you put a webcam up, and what happens is you can see the video. I've got a scroll running underneath with the information, and then I've got icons, and you can see what's going on, and you can watch me and then watch what's going on behind the scenes. There are a lot of kids, like you mentioned, those millennials. There are a lot of people on Facebook that are our age that really enjoy that. The Liberty Eagle is very similar to Talk America Radio. A lot of conservatives, like-minded individuals like us, and they started having various programs that started web streaming on this show, this Facebook Live thing. So it's just a Facebook page. Simply, if you go onto Facebook, if you're already on there, look for the Liberty Eagle, search for it, you'll find it, like the page, and then generally you'll be notified when the shows start. And I'm not the only one. They've got 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 different shows that broadcast their video shows on there as well, along with their news and information and other stuff that goes along. But they do long form programming. My entire show's broadcast. There are other shows that are 2 and 3 hours long, and I get thousands. The funny thing was, I thought maybe 20 or 30 people would watch it. I literally have tens of thousands of people that watch that program every week, and it blows me away because I never expected any of that.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
It does open a lot of.
Now here's the other thing that's
audience.
important. I want to plug one of the other shows on our network, The Conservative Cartel with Matt Locke and Gavin Mitchell.
Love that. Great.
And see, if you watch this Facebook Live concept, you will see when Matt Locke wears the lettuce picking hat that he has, and he looks absolutely ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. Gavin Mitchell looks equally ridiculous now that he shaved his mountain man looking beard. He now looks 6. And he tried doing the cowboy thing. I'm digging at these guys because they're trying to emulate Don Neuen, and they're failing miserably. Now, having said that, there's a little known fact. Chris, if you don't mind, I'm going to let this out to the listeners. This is exclusive Cowboy Logic insider information. Next week, at some point during the week, it's undetermined at this point, Chris is going to be broadcasting wearing only a Speedo.
Yeah, well, so here's the thing. I know you're letting this out. I didn't want to say anything. That's usually more than I wear when I'm doing the show. So it is kind of a special occasion.
Man, that created an illusion that's painful.
Another TMI. Hey, real quick, I'm just looking down some of these things on that is so predictable. Facebook is banning nationalist accounts over hate speech with people that were down in Charlottesville. But they don't have any problem with the ISIS speeches and connections.
Leave them in there.
Yeah. No, the sad thing, it's interesting. I take Facebook for what it is, and like I said, it's a little social experiment. The Facebook is what they called it, and you got Mark Zuckerberg, who's a hardcore lefty, and he's got his deal. You know what? It's their product. They can do with it whatever they want, and when you understand it from that perspective, it's okay. But they absolutely have been caught multiple times silencing conservatives. They shut down the accounts that they don't like, which tend to be, quote, conservative. They try to, quote, unquote, police themselves, and for some reason, they're often shutting down pages or blocking people or putting you in Facebook jail, I hear. I've learned to play by their rules, and I've never been in Facebook jail, and my show never gets censored. And one of the reasons is because I give them the respect they deserve and let you know I'm playing in their domain. That being said, there were far more of us on Facebook than any of these other social media outlets. What I'm talking about is conservatives, independent-minded thinkers. They didn't anticipate that happening with Facebook, and they can't really control it. And when we do that's another reason why I do the video program on Facebook. I've learned that all of these people that go in, they want to be a part of the show, and they are part of the show. They're the reason why we do it. They go on and comment, but they also share the video. When you go and you share it, Facebook will ratchet down your numbers and they'll ratchet down your exposure. But when I've got 1,000 people or so going and sharing the videos on their page as well as other groups, you can't stop it. And they're doing that with all the shows you mentioned. I know that Gavin and Matt, they broadcast their shows on their channel on Facebook, and people do the same thing. It's huge, and you can't stop that beast. Whereas Twitter slowly but surely dying. I don't know what's happening with Periscope. You look at Instagram, the other kid stuff. Facebook, there's a lot of I guess you can say even baby boomers, but a lot of these Gen Xers, which I'm Chris X, so obviously I'm a Gen Xer, but our age and that kind of stuff on Facebook with everybody else as well. They say there's over 2 billion Facebook users now. That's an incredible avenue to reach a lot of people. So anything I can do to help promote Talk America Radio via Facebook or any other social media avenue, hey man, I'm there. It's getting people out there. Just know where you're playing. Understand whose sandbox we're in.
Absolutely. Chris X, we love your show, and we will be listening, of course. Again, find him at if you go to the Liberty Channel, you can find him at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then again in the evening as well on the Justice Stream. Just go to talkamericaradio.us. You can see all the great shows that we have. Find him at Chris X Radio on Twitter and Facebook. Again, like the Chris X fan page. And Chris, we do thank you so much for joining us. With what's going on right now, we can only hope this is going to backfire on the mainstream media and the far left, because I think the sleeping giant is being awakened right now. Chris X, thank you so much for joining us here on Cowboy Logic Radio.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. It's been my honor. I appreciate it.
All right, folks, that wraps up another riveting show, and I always like to leave with a quote. And this one is quite, I think, poignant for what's been happening lately, and it's from Patrick Henry, one of those evil white guys. I don't know if he owned slaves or not. Probably did. The distinctions between Virginians, Pennsylvanians, New Yorkers, and New Englanders are no more. I am not a Virginian, but an American. Pretty much sums it up.
And I would like to add another quote to kind of play off of that a little bit. You said to be a Virginian. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say to be a virgin is to be or not to be. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.
Cowboys didn't dance, didn't wear designer shirts. Their hearts were filled with memories. Their bodies filled with hurt. They would sit around the campfire and exchange a piercing glance. Back when the West was really wild, cowboys didn't dance. When cowboys didn't dance, didn't wear designer shirts. When their hearts were filled with memories, their bodies filled with hurt. They would sit around the campfire and exchange a piercing glance. Back when the West was really wild, cowboys didn't dance.
Check us out on the web at cowboylogic.us.